Finally we got the WRX Spec-B in our hands, and I can give a proper breakdown and honest review for you guys. What's different in the new 2025 WRX TS Spec-B, and what are the, I guess, the biggest changes compared to the RS or the TS from last year, and if it's even worth the price point to even jump into a TS Spec-B. And we're going to go over, so we'll do a complete exterior, interior, the new dash, just what is new and what is old and what has changed and what I feel like has had a lot more refinement that maybe they haven't even talked about, but I kind of picked up myself. So beautiful, what is it, an ignition red, something you don't probably see every day in a WRX. So I'm happy and excited to kind of show you guys this color too. So we'll start from the exterior itself. So something I did pick up that was a lot different than the TS, RS or anything from the last generation, at least in Australia, is this new, well, not so much new, but the black front grille. So every other WRX, TS, RS or whatever you were getting, at least in Australia, it was coming with a grey front grille. Right off the bat, I think that's a plus. So you get a black front grille. Yes, you can option for a different type of sports grille, but that does cost up to, you know, it's like $800, $900. So that's super sick. Coming along here, you have these new 19-inch alloys, which I've personally grown pretty attached to. I actually really like these. So I think that looks very nice, looks very unique. You also have a big giveaway, if you guys haven't noticed, or one of the biggest reasons why you would get the TS Spec-B is these massive 6-port Brembo front brakes. Car should have, again, came from factory, but yeah, at least we now finally have 6-port Brembo brakes at the front, and it feels so natural in the car. Like, the stopping power is amazing. If you're tracking the car 100%, this is the brake setup you'd want. The Potenza tires that it comes with, again, they're a great tire. I have no complaints. A little bit noisy, but honestly, performance in summer and even in the rain is great. You get a 245/35 R19 tire. These are, yeah, can't fault it. Better than the Dunlops that come in the other model. Coming over to the side profile, nothing really much has changed along here. It's all pretty much standard. Again, I would 100% recommend a styling kit, which is the side skirt extensions, rear diffuser, rear bumper extensions, and the actual front lip. Then again, that's my personal opinion. I just think it adds all that aggression, and that my personal car has it as well, and I really like how it looks and adds to the actual spoiler, which we're gonna get into right now. Very long time this spoiler was not even an option, so a lot of people are doing an aftermarket or going for the VA with a different style or designed front connectors for the VB, but it's actually really nice and refreshing to finally have a factory spoiler from Subaru on your WRX. Yes, it's not a STI, it's tuned by STI, but we'll go a little further into that too. If it's like, is this the answer to an STI? Is Subaru secretly hidden an STI into a WRX? So we'll go a bit further into that while we take the car out for a drive too. Spoiler, which they actually redesigned to kind of fit the shape of the VB, so kind of fits the curves quite nicely in my opinion, and it's a little bit more curvier than your normal STI spoiler. But yeah, I really like the redesigning of it. It'll be a lot more durable. You won't get any cracks or any issues with this as well, because it's tested, made in Japan, and you know it's going to be solid for all its life. That's amazing. Important thing is, so if you guys know or you've watched my other videos before, the WRX just straight out of the box was so quiet. It was a little bit, I underwhelming for, I guess you could say, a sporty sedan or sports car itself. It's just the stock exhausts were just way too quiet in my opinion. So when they've gone ahead and added this STI mufflers for a stock standard actual no cost part, that made a lot of sense to me, and it did make me happy. Equal length headers, so that's why it sounds a little bit different, not like a traditional WRX. But once we do give it a start and sound, I personally think that yes, it doesn't have the classic rumble, but it has a very unique and nice sound to it anyway. If you want a nice sounding VB and you want to keep it OEM plus, again the Spec-B kind of just throws it in all for you, which is very nice of them to do, and not have to pay the 2,500 if you wanted that on your RS anyway. So we'll just quickly give it a quick exterior breakdown before we go into the interior. You get the gloss black front grille, 19-inch alloys, which I personally think if you were to add 20mm spaces, would just, the exterior you won't probably have to touch it, just spaces would be nice. You get my favorite addition is the 6-port Brembos, 2-port rear Brembos. Big STI spoiler in the back. A TS badge to let you know it's tuned by STI. STI muffler at the back. Starting from the most obvious bit is probably my personal favorite bit that the Spec-B has, which I am a little bit jealous that my WRX doesn't have it, is these Recaro seats. Since that I actually track my car every 3 months or so, I did find that my RS, the weak spot was the polstering, so I did find myself gripping on the steering wheel a bit more than I would want, that I was slipping in my seat. So I think this is the perfect addition, and the actual feel of these seats are super comfortable. They're not extremely firm, but they have a really nice support in the back. They're perforated here, Alcantara inside, leather outside, and just having Recaro seats in your car from factory is one of the sickest things. Not much car companies are doing it now. They just go for the seats that they come with from factory, or their own, let's just say, like the Honda Type R. Not really branded, I mean, it's a nice seat, but it's not a Recaro. So to say that your car comes from factory with Recaros, it's a cool bonus point kind of thing. I've driven in this seat and I've done a few 100 kilometers, I want to say, and I don't really feel uncomfortable. I'd say this is the most part which would annoy you if like you're someone that's a bit more of a bigger build and don't really fit into this seat quite well. I'd say that might be a bit of an annoyance in the corner and the upholstery around here, but me personally, I fit quite perfectly, and I think this is a really good, really nice upgrade and really thought into it too. So it makes a lot of sense, and I really wish I had this in my WRX. So has a bit of an STI tease there, which again, a little bit annoying. We don't get an STI, but little hints and subtle STI bits inside the Spec-B that come with it. Alright, so just sitting in here, I'll start with the not so obvious bits of the Spec-B that you probably aren't sure, or you don't even own a WRX, you know, like what's different in the interior. You know, it looks exactly like the RS, you know, especially looking around here, you probably won't pick it up, but me owning an RS as well, I kind of straight away picked it up. Just little nice touches to the Spec-B that your normal TS or RS never came with, that the new Spec-B comes with. Dive into that is quickly here. You can see, let me open this door. So quickly here, you can see all along the actual door here is all Alcantara. So around here, it's all Alcantara and leather, where my RS wasn't really. It's kind of just like a bit more plasticish, or even leather, I believe it was. I can't remember exactly perfectly, but you have nice Alcantara touch all through here, through here with a nice WRX red stitching. So it is very subtle, but into the back seats as well. It's again a completely different material to match the Recaros, which is a nice perforated Alcantara leather stitching as well. Another thing that the Spec-B, I guess one negative point, or not so much negative, but depends what your intentions with the car are. If your intentions with the car is again to track it, this is a bonus. You save a lot of weight with no sunroof here. But if you're looking for a fun, family car, weekend car that you want to just pop open the sunroof and enjoy a bit of cool breeze, the Spec-B unfortunately doesn't come with a sunroof, but it has this nice blacked out roof to save that extra 5 to 8 kilos and keep a lot of the lower weight center gravity down here instead of having a top heavy roof as well. So that's something that you guys should be aware of when ordering or looking into the Spec-B in Australia, at least, that it doesn't come with a sunroof. So that gives the RS manual one tick over the Spec-B. 11.6 inch touchscreen tablet style. You get your Harman Kardon sound system still. Passenger is manual adjustment. Use this to go back and forward. Save a little bit of weight being a manual. Driver side seat, which I am in right now, is all automatic adjustable. You don't really have lumbar support in the Spec-B WRX, where the RS manual or TS comes with lumbar support in the non-Recaro seat. So here we go. One of the biggest changes interior wise to the new WRX is this complete 12.3 LCD digital dash, which is pretty nice. Like, it connects to your Spotify. You can have your maps up here as well, so it's not laggy and it feels very nice and has a lot of good quality to it. So because I thought it might have been a little bit laggy, but it's pretty instant. So straight with my throttle, go straight to the ECU and gives you a proper accurate 100% reading down. So you have to hold this button down here. You can have your actual maps here, which is quite nice. So while you're driving, you have your digital speed here. You have your inbuilt satellite navigation. You can use your Apple CarPlay or Waze if you wanted to, which is a nice, unique touch that they've done as well. If you have an Apple, if you have an Android, unfortunately you can't use your maps on there. It's only Apple phones. So that's something to be a little bit cautious of if you're going into the Spec-B as well. You can change the display to probably my least favorite one. I don't know what the hell this is. It looks like you're playing Tetris or something. But yeah, I don't really use this screen much at all. Going into your drive mode, so that's selected by down here. So that's something that we will go further into while we go for the actual POV Drive as well. So you click that there and you have all your settings. Comfort itself, we will go through all these a bit more in depth when we're driving the car. But you have your comfort, sport, sports plus, and individual mode, where you can customize your driving modes as well. Just go for a first initial drive. So I've already put like a good let's just say 100 kilometers on this car, and my initial feeling straight away compared to my personal RS 100% I would say is the gearbox itself. I don't know if it's not confirmed or was not spoken about, but I feel like this one, the actual Spec-B, has a more notchier gearbox. Something about it, I'm not too sure what it is, but it just feels nicer. It feels a lot more connected. It feels more weighted, I guess you could say, than at least what mine was from when it was straight out of the box, because it did feel a lot more sloppier. It didn't feel as nice as this one. So that's again something that, in my opinion, that Subaru has listened to and kind of actually gone ahead and done, which is really nice, because this gearbox, I don't feel like I need to do any short shift or anything. I feel like this actually feels really nice, and I'm actually something that caught me off guard, to be honest. I didn't expect the actual manual gearbox to feel very notchy, because personally the BRZ always felt really nice and short. Now that this one, I don't know if they've actually, I'm not too sure exactly what they've done, but this just feels very nice and a lot better than your standard RS manual too. As in sports or sports plus, very similar to the RS manual. Again, there's not any additional power, still 202 kilowatts and 350 newton meters of torque. How much that is to the wheel, it's not exactly producing that much to the wheel. I think it's roughly around 160 kilowatts to the wheel, but being a shorter gear ratio, it does feel nice and punchy, yeah, especially since you do get your boost quite early on. So you start getting around 200 and 220 horsepower, roughly around the 2.5 to 3,000 kilometers too, which is nice. So definitely for spirited mountain drive, even driving through city areas like this, you have very usable power, which is exactly what you want. You don't want a laggy turbo, and especially being an all-wheel drive car, you get the most benefits out of it, to be honest. So we'll go for comfort. So comfort itself is just more designed for just really just soft dampering, a lighter steering as well, and just overall less aggressive of a drive, which is less taxing on your hands, and you kind of do notice it. So right now the steering feels like what my WRX feels like now, so the RS manual, so it is quite light. Again, I've gone over it, it's not something that I personally hate. I actually kind of really, I wouldn't say prefer over the heavier steering. I do like heavy steering and I understand what it's for, but I do enjoy the light steering, especially like on everyday driving like this, and the suspension and comfort feels very tame, feels very nice. Yeah, I personally really like it. I would recommend it if you're just kind of dailying the car every day. Yeah, still very nice and tame, feels really nice to drive. And then when you chuck it into normal, you do tend to feel a little bit changes, honestly, not too much more than comfort itself. You get a little bit more firmed up. So steering is still in the lightest option, which is nice. I don't know how much times I personally would be in comfort, but normal is, yeah, it doesn't feel too different. Sport, you start to feel, that's when the sport weight of the steering wheel kind of kicks in. It does feel a lot heavier, and this is mainly just to actually reduce, what we would say, steering inputs. So you want least amount of steering inputs, especially if you're tracking the car. You don't want to oversteer the car to make it understeer. So this is why like a heavier steering is more suited for this, I guess, aggressive, sporty type of driving. So I'm really happy that they've done that, and you can feel it too. So it's a lot nicer, it's a lot more weighted, and personally I tend to stay in this. So I tend to stay in sport more than anything, just because I'm more of a sporty orientated person. I prefer the stiffer suspension, I prefer the stiffer steering, I prefer the more aggressive drive of the car. So if you're someone that wants to keep the car just bone stock, out of the box, you don't want to touch the car, maybe do a styling kit, front lip, whatnot, maybe want to do the wheels, but don't want to touch suspension or how the geometry of the car, and just enjoy it as it is, the Spec-B is exactly that. Like, the seats in it are really nice, everything in here is really nice. The option to go between sports modes, so you can change your driving style or how you prefer the driving as well. So I can be an individual, which goes from how I would do it is probably sport. So I would always just be in sports plus. So again, for me, a little bit counterintuitive for me personally. If I wanted to change the ride height, yes, you can do the springs, you can change the spring length, but if you want a proper, more track focused suspension setup, I'm not saying taking away that you can't get good laps in this, how this exact car is, because it's actually phenomenal. Like going around corners with these tires, and in Sports Plus, it's actually it's a noticeable amount of difference in the driver feedback, driver feel, and actual cornering ability. So they call it STI suspension damping, so it has a bit more of a stiffer damping setting in the Sports Plus compared to the RS. I feel like the RS is more of a sports, so in the RS you're more always in sports, in the manual that is, and in the Sports Plus is the extra damping setting, which really does feel nice for a stock aggressive suspension. So I feel overly stiff, it feels the right amount, and I feel like that's what Subaru always kind of have done really well, is they've always been able to nail that suspension and street feel. So yeah, again, really impressed with the Sports Plus, and the actual damping settings were very well thought out, and I believe it's the perfect amount. This car I just don't want to touch anything. That's what the Spec-B is like. It's really done well from Subaru themselves. Like if I got this, I don't think I would want to change anything. Again, I might want to do spacers on the wheels just to kind of give it that more aggressive look. Might do like a front lip, side skirt extensions, rear bumper extensions to give it that more of an aggressive look. I personally would paint the guards just because I don't like the cladding, but hey, there's people out there that like the cladding. Not against it, it's just more my personal preference. I think if the whole car was paint matched, spacers, the Spec-B is the car to just have as a perfect OEM plus WRX. Hang on, tunnel. Yeah, I personally actually sounds very nice. Have to probably run a bypass for the suspension sensors and sports mode, so all of that for me personally might actually end up useless, so that's something to take into account. I don't know, I still feel like the RS makes sense for me and someone that wants to modify the car. So if you're going to go out, start chopping and changing, again, the brakes aren't the biggest reason for me to buy the Spec-B. You can always do a brake Brembo conversion down the road. So I have done .4 brake fluid already and aftermarket pads, and I've already noticed a very significant amount of, I guess, braking performance. You just want to make it your own, start from kind of scratch. I'd say the RS still, in my opinion, is a better option for that. For a nice canvas, the RS is still a cheaper and nicer option. We have a Ferrari next to us, but yeah, I'd say probably get yourself in at a cheaper RS, and depending on your budget, gradually work your way up as well. Or if you're someone to keep your car stock OEM plus, you like them how they come straight out of the box and you don't want to change anything, maybe a few little bits here and there, maybe something like you want a louder exhaust or styling kits or aftermarket wheels, I'd say the Spec-B is good. It really is a refined WRX. In my opinion, this is the final iteration, I guess you could say, of the VB. I really can feel it, I can see it, like from the seats to the steering feedback to even the shifting feel. It feels like they kind of went through what was the weak spots in the VB previously, or even listened to the people and improved on that. Alright, so let's give the VB WRX Spec-B its final review, right? So we've already driven it, we've gone around, we've tested the brakes, the seats, the digital dash, and now we're just going to pretty much talk about who I believe would be best suited for the Spec-B and who I believe would be best suited for the RS manual. So going over the brakes on street application, honestly, they were amazing. Just like the touch of the foot, you're getting brake pressure and brake feel. So brakes, 8 out of 10. The actual Recaro seats, hands down, probably one of the best factory seats that I've sat in and used. But the shifter just feels how it should have been, like so much better. The spoiler, I really like. This wheels need spacers, and exhaust sounds good. I just think if it was all painted, it would be a lot better with the styling kit as well. I don't feel like I need the digital dash, but it was very nice to have. I give that a 9 out of 10. It was actually very nice and responsive, very fun to use. The steering wheel as well, this I really like, same as my car to be honest, nothing different at all. So the RS has the exact same flat bottom, but the feel in your hands is really nice, and I give the steering wheel a really good, like, yeah, same 8 out of 10. The only thing that I would kind of wish was a little bit better, I say, would be maybe a little bit more emotion with the car, if it had a bit more induction sound, but those type of things. But then again, you know, what this car is targeted for and is not exactly specifically for that. It's more of a car that is a daily, which is fun, and I think it really did a good job at kind of nailing that. Give the car an overall drive feel, overall rating. I think, look, I haven't got to drive the GR Corolla yet. I drove the Type R. The Type R was very more on the track focused side of everything. This is a nice sweet in between, where I feel like I could genuinely still live with this car and still have fun with it. Like, it's something very engaging and very fun to drive. So what would I give it out of a 10? I want to say an 8. I really do want to say it's an 8. Massive props to the Brembos, massive props to the driver, steering wheel feel, the shifter feel, so, and the entertainment system. This could be a little bit better. It's a little bit, as you can see, look, a little bit laggy. That's where I just say I don't really use that too much. I use my Apple CarPlay. Digital screen itself it comes with is very nice and responsive, so that I really like. This, honestly, it's probably like a 4 out of 10. It's not something I like, and I think either Subaru improve on it, or I don't know, I just feel it's very, yeah, I don't know. But again, I don't use this too often. I just use my Apple CarPlay, use my own maps. The bucket seat, the heavier steering, the Brembos, the better tires. Overall, yeah, I do say it's a nice 8 out of 10. It's something that will put a smile on your face every day, and you can go pick up your groceries and family in it and still hit the track in it. So definitely nailed it with the Spec-B. Again, press the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what other cars you kind of want to see, because I do have the GR Corolla on my list, and I've done the Type R, but I've never done a video on the Type R. And yeah, open to other options too. If I can get a GR Supra, I would love to do a GR Supra as well. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. Catch you guys in a future video. Bye.